No, don't boo the listeners, Alex. We need them on our side. Flight 815 crash landed, but where there's weird jungle noises and a polar bear. What the fuck is going on over there? Helen
and Alex
will guide you through. If you've seen Lost 20 times,
or if you're brand new,
welcome to our show. It's
Dharma Fish Biscuits. Hello and welcome to Dharma Fish Biscuits, your new favourite Lost podcast.
We're your hosts, Helen and Alex. We're going episode by episode, spoiler-free, bringing you all the hot takes no one ever asked for.
We are on Instagram at Dharma Fish Biscuits Pod. We're on TikTok at Dharma Fish Biscuits. And you can email us at dharmafishbiscuitspod@gmail.com.
We also have a Patreon at patreon.com/dharmafishbiscuits, which you can join for free for jingles, bonus bits, outtakes, and the spoilery version of the show.
Yes, all spoilers are edited out of the main feed right here, so this is spoiler-free. But if you want to hear us talk about some spoilers, you can hear slightly longer episodes on Patreon.
This episode, if you're not already on the Patreon, would be a really good time to try it out if you are someone who's seen the show before, because we end up going quite deep in spoiler territory, and it's gonna give some added value, I think, if you're someone who's seen Lost. If you've been thinking, maybe I'll join the Patreon, but I don't know, seems annoying, I just like listening to the pod in the pod places. Did you know that if you follow us on Patreon, you can get an RSS link that will bring the spoilery version of the podcast into your pod feed, so you can listen to that instead of the regular podcast, or have it as a little twin next to it. Now you know. Instead of going beat by beat, we aim to focus our discussion on the character the episode centres around. First in flashbacks, then on the island, and then we circle back to anything else we might have missed.
This week, we've got our third Kate episode. Season 1, episode 22. Born to Run.
Baby, she was born to run.
Is that a famous song? Or was that a Helen Jones improv?
Yes, it's a famous Bruce Springsteen song. How are you this uncultured?
I don't know. I thought you were singing Lady Gaga. Baby, she was born this way.
The Alex cultural canon excludes Bruce Springsteen, but is very Lady Gaga centric. My top thought about this episode, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Oh, I thought it was very weak.
Oh.
I feel like it basically, all we're doing mostly is just we're table setting for the finale.
I think, my emotional connection to this episode rests very strongly on that one scene with Zelda Spellman.
I think there are some good things in the episode, but overall, as a whole, I don't feel it pulls things together quite as much as I want them to. But what it does do really well is make me very excited for the finale.
Yeah. Right, let's get on with some flashbacks.
So we start with flashbacks. We've got a blonde lady pulling up at a motel. A blonde lady with a trunk full of number plates.
Do you think this was supposed to be a Claire-based misdirect?
100%.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this wig exactly looks like Claire's hair.
Here's the process of my thoughts watching this scene. Oh, we're supposed to think that it's Claire. Oh, no, we're supposed to understand that it's a really bad blonde wig. Oh, it's quite clear that it's not Claire from the sort of body shape and body type and movement. Oh, it's actually not supposed to be obviously a wig because it's supposed to be real hair. The blonde wig that they put on Evangeline Lilly that is supposed to be real blonde hair is zero effort was made for this scene. They took the cheapest possible wig from a children's party shop and then did nothing to try and make it look better.
Okay, I don't understand a lot of what's actually happening here. So Kate pulls up when she's blonde. She changes her number plate to an Ohio number plate. Then she's at a motel. She takes a towel from the cleaning cart, lets herself into a room, dyes her hair brown, then goes to reception and says, "Hi, I'm expecting a letter for Joan Hart." what's actually happening here? Is she staying at this motel? Because if she's staying there, why does she steal the towel? If she's not staying there, how does she get into the room?
My understanding is that she's not staying at the hotel. She breaks into the room and steals the towel, and then she goes to the desk where she has like previously arranged for a letter to be sent there under this fake name. Please note, speaking of Zelda Spellman,
Joan Hart.
The link, she's going by the name Joan Hart, as in Melissa Joan Hart, as in fictional niece of fictional character Zelda Spellman, played by the actress who plays Kate's mum. The circle is complete. What's her name?
Beth Broderick.
Legend.
But who did send the letter? I assume the letter is telling her that her mum has cancer. Because she reads the letter and is crying and then goes to the hospital. So I assumed that the letter was simply telling her about her mum's cancer.
Because in that case, you have a good point. Like, who knew to send the letter to this address under this fake name? Extremely unclear. Okay.
Anyway, so she goes to the hospital. She's hiding behind some flowers so the police officer doesn't see her. And also, she's like trying to disguise herself. Why has she dyed her hair back from blonde to brown if she wants to be disguised? Keep the blonde hair.
Well, presumably whatever she's on the run from that she's done previously, she did with blonde hair. So now she's gone back to the brown.
Fair. She magically gets in the backseat of a doctor's car. And when he gets in, it turns out that this doctor knows her. And she tells him that Diane is dying of cancer.
It's Mackenzie Astin, brother of Sean Astin.
Is it? Oh my god. Wow.
A guy who I know from a few other things, or I see him pop up in various other things. Most memorably, he was on The Magicians. Don't know if you ever saw The Magicians.
I didn't.
It's quite an Alex-coded show. You might like it. Yeah, so she's reunited with her childhood sweetheart, Tom. After they encounter each other when she's broken into his car, he takes her back to his lovely suburban home, and she looks at pictures of his children, and they have a nice conversation. Breaking news! Tom has a son, whose name is Connor.
Oh my god, shout out Connor. I also just want you to know how much I am resisting the urge to try and talk about how Kate got into the back of his car. Doesn't matter, doesn't make sense, doesn't matter. Kate asks if it is still there. And this is one of the things that just doesn't work for me about this flashback, is this like weird mystery, almost horror implication around the time capsule. Because she says, is it still there? What? You know what?
I didn't think there was horror movie implications.
Well, then they drive to this tree and it's all like dark and there's fog going around and they get their spades and they start digging and the strings are doing this like...
okay. So you're thinking that for like a first-time viewer, we're expecting there to be like a corpse or something.
I mean, that seems to be sort of the implication. Or at least I thought that was what they were sort of hinting at. And I was like, this feels like it's leading us somewhere that is very different to where we're actually going to end up. Because what they actually dig up is simply a box.
I didn't really pick up on any of that, although I did think that the shot with the tree and the like silhouette against the night and stuff was very 6 Feet Under coded.
Yes.
Generally, I think that their dynamic together is quite convincing. Like they do a good job of portraying this relationship as like people who were very close when they were young and now they haven't seen each other that much, but there's still like very deep running feelings there.
Yeah, I liked the two of them together. I think it's a shame that this man is dead and we won't see him again. It's interesting that there was no recap at the beginning of this episode. We go straight into the flashback because I feel like the weight of this story that we're seeing does sort of change if you remember the previous flashback, because I was talking to Con about this before we watched and I was like, okay, do you remember when they're in the bank vault? You remember the plane, you remember it belonged to the man I love, belonged to the man I killed. And if you have that in your head, then when they open this time capsule and the plane is inside and you realize it's his plane, then you've got this foreboding that you know where this story is going. And then I was like, actually, maybe it's interesting if you, even if you don't remember that, to not know where it's going, and maybe it still works if you don't have it. But I just thought it was an interesting choice for them not to remind you about it.
I think it's a memorable moment.
Not for Connor, it wasn't.
Oh.
He was like, no, I simply don't remember the plane. But what's very funny is that then, as soon as she got the plane out of the box, he was like, oh, look, there's a D3 plane. And I was like, yes, you did say that last time we watched.
I remember saying that before. Yeah. No, my partner who's watching Lost for the first time with me, I I think possibly it was when they got the plane out and he made the connection and he was like, oh, she's going to end up shooting him. And I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, she shot a guy. I was like, can I care to refresh your memory about the actual words used?
I mean, he remembered more than Connor, so
yeah.
So the plane is inside the box and also a tape, and they listen to the tape. And this is, again, something that it almost worked for me, and then it just went too on the nose, because they talk about it. They talk about how we're going to dig this up in 20 years, and he's saying, of course we're going to still be together, we'll be married, we'll have 9 kids. So we hear 12-year-old Kate saying, oh no, as soon as I get my license, we should get in a car and drive and run away. And I'm like, okay, yes, we get it. Kate likes to run. And then he says, you always want to run away,
Katie.
Like, okay.
And she's like, yeah, and you know why. I was like, they needed to dial down the acting level on these children, like, slightly at the end there.
Well, and the script, sorry.
No, I agree.
I think maybe it should have just ended with her saying we should drive. We should get in a car and drive. That sort of does enough to give us like, oh, this is a repeated motif of Kate's character.
But I was sort of like, they both got what they wanted. Like, he's got this stable life with a wife and children in the suburbs. She's on the run.
She gets to be on the run.
They kind of, yeah, she kind of escaped her life and embraced more of a freewheeling lifestyle. And yeah, I don't know, it seems like their lives both just kind of turned out the way they imagined, just that they don't get to be together. Can we pull one out for Kate and Tom, the original podcasters, that the fact that they were recording this audio?
Of course, the original podcasters, Kate Austin and Tom
They were doing it before even the invention of the iPod.
They do a little kiss. That's nice for them. And then we go back to the hospital.
And he's gonna help her break in to see her mum, basically, because we're given to understand that, like, she couldn't get in to see her mum before because her room was being guarded by police.
Tom and this other doctor are wheeling her, I guess, to the MRI. And then he's like, yep, just leave her here in the middle of this corridor. It's fine. You can go away. And then Kate is in this corridor too. He leaves her to talk to Diane by herself, and we see Aunt Zelda herself, crusty lips, gaunt, dark eyes. And when we watched this, Connor was like, oh, she's dead. I'm like, not quite.
Oh no, she's got life in her yet, but yeah, it seems like that cancer is really taking a toll.
Yeah, and here is where we get the reveal that this is Kate's mother, because she says, hi, Mum. And Diane wakes up. She opens her eyes, and at first she's like, Catherine? Yeah, and Kate apologizes, and it's very sad.
This scene is just absolutely incredible, and makes such an impression on me. And I had kind of forgotten, as I did my rewatch, like, how long it takes for us to get to that turn. Because at first there's this, like, it takes her quite a while just to recognize that she's looking at Kate. And then Kate starts sort of talking to her, and like slowly, this look of sort of recognition turns to a look of fear. And then she starts at first very quietly mouthing, help me. And then she's full on like screaming for help. It's just full body chills.
I think this scene is amazing, regardless of what else happens in this episode. And yeah, so when she starts screaming for help, Kate leaves and runs away. Security tries to stop her. Security tries to stop her, but she just punches the security guard and grabs his gun. And then Tom's like, whoa, what's happening? I know you love to run away, but why are you running away now? And she tells him she needs his car.
Tom makes a real poor choice here by getting into the car with her. I feel like if you have a childhood friend who is into some dodgy shit and she says she needs your car, that's not an invitation. That's like, if you want to keep your nice, cozy suburban life, give her the car keys and just, stay well clear of it. I don't know why. My only thinking was maybe he gets into the car in order to try and prevent her from doing anything reckless, because
I think that's it.
Because he could have the thought that, like, well, she wouldn't endanger me, so by me being here is like it puts a limit on.
I was thinking more he's going to try and talk her down, which is what he does. Like, he gets in the car, and then when she says, get out, you don't need to be here, get out. And he says to her, whatever happened, it's fine if you talk to the police, if you surrender, we can calm this down, we can de-escalate the situation. So I feel like he came with her to try, like, with that intention, but she doesn't want to hear it. And so she drives through the barrier. Police shoot at the car. She eventually crashes the car. And then when she crashes, she looks over and realizes that he has been shot.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Tom. We hardly knew ye.
Truly.
But what I do think is interesting here is that when we had the previous Kate episode, where we had the whole, it belonged to the man I loved, it belonged to the man I killed, I do feel like the really strong implication there is that she killed a man. That's why she is on the run. That's why she is a fugitive. That's why she got arrested by the marshal, because she killed someone. And then we find out here that
she was already on the run.
She didn't directly kill him. She was indirectly responsible. But yeah, you're right. She was already on the run prior to coming to see him and prior to him dying. So what did she do? Why is she on the run? I like that it adds this extra element of mystery. Basically, the only thing I like about this flashback really is that scene with Diane, because I like that it adds that extra layer of mystery of what did she actually do, but I like the fact that whatever it was so harrowing for Diane that she has to scream for, like, and the look in her eye.
Yeah, like to imagine having so much fear of your own daughter, it really does open the door there to the question of, like, what could she have done that would be so terrible?
Well, shall we go to the island?
Let's do that. Oh, let's jump back to the present. Back to the island.
Okay, so we start on the island with Charlie coming to see Kate, and he's got his guitar, and God bless Charlie. He is a real optimist this episode. He's going around telling anyone who'll listen about how they're going to be rescued soon and everything's fine, and he's feeling good about his music career. Because, of course, drive shaft sales will have spiked when they find out that he's dead, and never mind, when the helicopters come and rescue us and make us all famous, we're going to have a renaissance. And Kate's like, oh, helicopters, you say? Famous, like, you say?
Have not considered this side of things. Yeah, I guess, like, maybe in her mind up until now, she's just been like, it would be best for me to stay on the island because I am a criminal off island. But now she's like, or what if I escaped the island and stole Joanna's identity? That would actually be a win. But before we move on from Charlie and his guitar, I think that his songs seem quite good. I'm on board with this, like, drive shaft renaissance.
Track 2, Monster Eats the Pilot, that little guitar riff was really doing it for me.
Enjoyed it.
So then Kate looks over and Arzt is having this big discussion with the raft, and she's like, hey, what do you think's going on over there? We should go investigate. Her and Charlie go over and listen to what Arzt has to say.
I like the incorporation of Arzt as a character and the way that, like, the show doesn't go out of its way to be like, look, a new character, his name is Arzt. They just have the characters reacting to him and interacting with him as if he's been there all along, and that this is one of the sort of C-list islanders that we just haven't really spent any time with.
Yeah.
It's quite smoothly done.
And famously, we did see him in a flashback.
In the airport, yeah.
In the airport.
And also, he not only is he a character that everyone kind of knows, but he is a character that everyone finds quite annoying, apart from Goody Two-Shoes Jack. And Arzt is so convincing in this scene as, like, a high school science teacher. He's really, like, putting on his teacher voice to do this. I find it quite enjoyable.
He's telling them that they're on the cusp of monsoon season. They're not going to be able to go for 3 or 4 months because the wind is shifting and it's going to push them south. What's the only piece of land south of us? And Jack says, it's Antarctica. Not sure how they know that because famously they were 1,000 miles off course. They don't know where they are. And yeah, and he ends with, when should we leave? And he says, yesterday. I know that Michael wants to get off this rock as soon as possible. But if I was receiving that information, I probably would not think, oh, in that case, we should simply leave as soon as possible. I would think, oh, in that case, we need to, like, be a bit more methodical and plan for the long term and make sure we leave at a time when it's safe. Especially if my 10-year-old son is coming on the raft with me. So now Kate has a new mission in life, and it's to get on the raft, and she will not let things stand in her way to enable her to do that. Things such as, 1, Mr. Sawyer. I found all of this, like,
the Kate and Sawyer conflict of it all very juicy and very like they've been in a place in their relationship recently where they've been quite like simpatico and like understanding each other and getting along, and like yes they have their ups and downs, but they've been very much in a kind of like we're the two people who really get each other and we have this kind of special connection. And now in this episode for them to be so like clearly pitted against each other, I thought it was really interesting to see what that did for their dynamic, and that like how far are they each willing to go in terms of like hurting the other one to get what they want.
They're also still pitted against each other, at least from Sawyer's perspective, in that same way of recognizing each other and knowing each other really deeply, because the way he wants to go about it is he's saying, I know about you. And instead, whereas before, like you say, it gave them this sort of simpatico relationship, like it's like, oh yeah, like recognize like, game recognize game, we're two of a kind. Now he's using that to his advantage and saying, well, I do know you and this is what you're like, and I'm gonna use that to get what I want.
Yeah, and she sort of like, you know, her persona on the island has very much been like, everybody likes Kate. Kate is a trustworthy person. She's kind of an innocent, nice girl, and only a few people know that she has been a fugitive, and no one has really seen like the dark side of Kate, so to speak. More rather, apart from to a degree Sawyer, who obviously they had their little game of Never Have I Ever, where she said that she killed someone, and Jack knows that she killed someone. Like, whatever. There is the islanders as a whole perceive her as being quite a sort of wholesome, trustworthy, nice person, and the way that like she takes that mask off in her interactions with Sawyer and has this line like, if I want your spot, I get your spot. Like, she's willing to show that like really like
focused, conniving side.
Yeah, that's I guess like that more conniving side of her personality, to be like, I will go to any lengths to get to do what I need to get done.
But she only shows in that side sort of when she's pushed into it. Because at first, she tries to play it off, and he's like, I hear you're asking about my spot. And she's like, oh, Michael misunderstood. Whatever, it's fine. It was just a misunderstanding, and tries to walk away. This is the discussion
that they have at the end of the episode, where he's like, sorry, you pushed me into a corner. And she's like, you pushed me into a corner. So they're both kind of like lashing out as these kind of caged animals who both feel cornered.
Because it's them, like, she tries to be casual, but he grabs her back, and that's when he lets the mask slip. And he's like, I know about you. I know why you wanted the case. I know that you are the wanted fugitive. It's been unspoken between them, I think. I don't think they've discussed it. And now he's bringing it out, and he's saying, look, don't do this. Don't even try. She goes to see Michael, and she sort of plants these seeds in Michael's mind that Sawyer doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to sail. She spent 2 summers crewing boats.
She's a sailing girly, and she's like, let me on this raft.
Michael initially dismisses Kate and is like, we're set. Bye. But then when he talks to Sawyer, those seeds of doubt do start to spring up.
There are some seeds of doubt in my mind now, strangely. Who planted these seeds?
Is the raft a good option for Kate to run? Because I didn't really understand this. Because I understand Charlie has spooked her by saying about helicopters coming and everyone being famous when they get to the island. But surely whenever the raft reaches a ship, some land, whoever is doing it, the people on the raft are also going to be like front and center of this incredible story. And if there's only 4 of them on the raft, it's much harder to hide when you are a party of 4 as opposed to when they come to the island.
I think the way she's looking at it is like, if you rock up on a raft, then you can just be like, as soon as the raft hits land, scurry away and be on the run and make yourself scarce. And in the meantime, anyone that you encounter, you say that your name's Joanna Miller and you're sorted from a sort of Kate Austen is wanted for undisclosed crimes point of view.
I guess until Michael is like, what? Your name's not Joanna.
That's true. Don't know. She was going to cross that bridge when she came to it, I think.
I guess also she at least has the knowledge. If she's like on the ship, if she gets picked up by a ship, she then knows what's happening. Whereas if you're on the island, you're like, well, we don't know what's happening until a helicopter arrives, and then the helicopter is here. Michael suddenly doubles over in some indeterminate pain. Walt has to find Jack. Instead, Walt finds Son and Kate. our island besties having a little chat in the jungle.
But it is interesting when you've seen the episode and you know that, like, Sun did the poisoning and it was Kate's idea, to watch the episode again with that knowledge and see how they both react to it, because, like, there's almost a moment of it's like, oh, Michael's ill. Oh, that wasn't what we meant to do. But, like, they don't like bring attention to it in such a way that you would start to suspect them if as a first time watcher.
Sun takes Walt back to Michael and Kate runs off to find Jack in the jungle. Jack comes to the conclusion basically that Michael has been poisoned by somebody. And Michael tells him that he thinks it was Sawyer. So Kate comes to see Jack and is casually asking about Michael. Casually asking if someone might be taking his place on the raft.
Yeah, I felt like she was quite suspicious in her behaviour in this scene. And the first time you watch the episode, we're trying to figure out who poisoned Michael. And we're thinking maybe it was Kate that poisoned Michael. She does seem to be acting very suspicious. But when you've already seen the episode and you know, no, but she was trying to help Sun poison Jin. And this is something that I actually really didn't like about the reveal that it was Kate's idea to poison Jin. That, like, I feel that Sun is more than capable of hatching a plan to poison someone on her own. She's a smart, like, cunning person. She doesn't need anyone's help. But also the fact that the idea comes from Kate makes it something ultimately that, like, is serving Kate's interests. And, like, isn't it the case that, you know, her idea to, like, oh, well, why don't you poison Jin? Yes, it's to help Sun because Sun doesn't want Jin to go, but Kate's like, win-win, then there's a spot on the raft.
Yeah, everyone's a winner.
So I just don't like what that means for the implications for Kate's character, that, like, she would be willing to hurt someone for her own ends. Like, I think the whole episode would work better if it was just Sun, but I suppose, like, you know, they did it intentionally to show that, like, Kate is this selfish and sort of, like, focused on getting what she wants.
I mean, I think it does. You might not like it, Helen, but I think it does track with Kate's character. Because, like, it's what we're seeing in the flashback as well with her and Tom, where she is coming to see Tom. And yes, she still has these feelings wrapped up in him, but she is still ultimately using him as a way to get in to talk to her mum when her mum, for whatever reason, doesn't want to see her.
And she is willing to put him in danger, ultimately, for her own ends, like, in order for her to get away.
And even going back, we've seen in the bank robbery, we saw that she used the other bank robbers to get her in, to be able to get to the safety deposit box, to get her plane. Like, we have seen, this is quite a repeated pattern, and Sawyer even says it in this episode, she will do anything or she'll use anyone just to get what she wants. And I do think that is something we've seen.
The line that he said that I wanted us to talk about, and we can talk about it here, is, she don't care about nothing or nobody but herself. And I had a little stop and think there, because I was like, is that the show's opinion of Kate? Is that the sort of canonically true fact about Kate?
I wouldn't go so far as to say she doesn't care about anyone. I would go so far as to say that she is happy to use people. I'm thinking way back to the first flashback with Ray, and she says to the marshal, I still want to make sure he gets his money. She's still thinking about him. And with Tom, when he gets in the car in this flashback, she's saying, you know, get out. Like, you don't have to be here.
Well, I think, as I understand the point you're trying to make, you're saying that, like, she cares about other people, but she's ultimately going to put her own interests first at the expense of other people. So, you know, and she could feel bad about the way in which she hurts people along the way, but she's still going to do that.
Yeah. But I don't think we're shown enough to believe that she doesn't care. Because I think like when we talked about Tabula Rasa, we were saying that she's a criminal with a heart of gold.
Yeah, but the show was still, at that point, was still trying to ensure that we would be on her side and that we would be like, that she would be a likable character to us. So I think the show was more bothered then about making her the criminal with a heart of gold so that we don't immediately write her off. But now we're like deep into season 1. We know Kate well enough. We kind of have our formed opinions about her. And now the show can be like, start to delve deeper into the darker sides of her personality, knowing that, like, they're not necessarily going to lose us. We're still invested in her story.
Yeah. I just think it's complicated because I think there's an element where she does care and an element where she doesn't care.
No, but I think she cares and she has empathy. She's not like a psychopath, but she struggles with guilt when she has hurt people and when she, like, the damage that she causes along the way, she feels guilt for when it's deserved. Not so much for those annoying bank robbers, but like they were already bank robbers. But she ultimately has this like laser focus on protecting her own interests. And I feel like also that's, you know, we're going to find out more about her backstory and her childhood, but I feel like that's something that makes sense for her as being like having the background that she has to sort of be like ultimately willing to shut down everything else in order to look after number one, because like no one else is going to have her back in her experience.
We're halfway through the podcast. We talk a lot, we know. Why not take this time to write a review? It helps more people find the show. Or pop us a little email, or simply tell a friend. We're gonna need some listeners if we're to make it from the pilot to the end.
So Sawyer reveals to everyone that she is a criminal. He empties out her rucksack, finds Joanna's passport.
I thought this scene was great as well when he sort of decides to do this reveal in front of everyone, and he's like grabbed her, sort of dragging her around, and there are several characters on the sidelines.
Everyone,
who are like,
Shannon pops
leave
up.
her alone. And he's like, and he repeats it in this like mocking way, like, oh, leave her alone. Like, I'm going to show you who you're really dealing with. Like, everybody thinks that Kate is this kind, innocent, sort of like trustworthy figure, and he's like, oh, I'm going to lay her bare for all to see, which obviously works. Like, the people turn against her immediately as soon as it's revealed that she is a criminal and that she was planning to steal Joanna's identity. I had a thought about this, which was like, Sawyer has been kind of upfront about who he is. And he doesn't have many friends on the island because of that. A lot of people look at Sawyer and see someone who's like a down, dirty dealer, a guy who would be willing to like hurt people, who would be willing to withhold things from people that they need, a guy who is amoral in the way that he will just like hoard all the stuff and then trade the stuff when it suits him to, you know, to benefit him. So people see him as being this really selfish, dishonest character. Kate has done the opposite thing, which is like built this new persona for herself on the island, which means that everybody likes her and trusts her. So that's when this moment comes that he like reveals that she's a criminal and that she was the one who was in the marshal's custody and all the rest of it. I was sort of thinking, like, doesn't it count for anything that in the spirit of tabula rasa, that the time that they have spent together, the things that the person she has been on the island, doesn't that count for anything? But then I thought, well, maybe it makes it feel all the worse because it feels more of a betrayal, because they think they know her and now they realize they see this like completely different side of her, whereas at least Sawyer has been consistently himself the whole time.
And also how much of what she's been telling them is genuine. Like, how much of her character has been genuine, or how much has been her playing a part. Like, especially if she's planning to leave the island and pretend to be Joanna and play this part of Joanna, maybe she's just playing the part of Kate, and nothing has been true that she's done for the last 6 weeks.
And we know that there's a certain amount of her behaviour on the island that has been playing a part. You know, she had her moments where she was like, I don't know how a gun works. So yeah, she's been towing a line in between. Like, I think she has been authentically herself, but there's also been moments where she's been very calculated in the way that she has created this persona for herself. Her move when Sawyer reveals her is to come clean and to say, like, he's telling the truth. I was the person in the custody of the marshal. I am wanted. And if I re-enter society, I will be arrested. And
no matter what I say.
But this whole thing, I thought, like, this is just like a new play from Kate. It feels like she, in this situation, she's got back against the wall. She's got to decide, what do I do with this now? and she just kind of judged that the risks would be smaller in terms of her coming clean and trying to be this like, oh, I'm going to be honest and authentic with you, rather than continuing to try and like uphold the lie. I think Kate as a character is so interesting, and the way that she toes this line between dishonesty and realness, and that every moment for her is kind of like, which side of that line am I going to fall on?
So the episode ends with Kate. She's poking the fire. Sawyer comes back to let her know that he's back on the raft. They're going tomorrow. And I loved this exchange between the two of them. I thought it was really great.
It's like they have their guards down for once, and they can really meet each other as they are.
She asks if he's here to say sorry, and he says, sorry doesn't suit me.
But he's not calling her Freckles, because Freckles is like his affectionate nickname for her, and he's not feeling very affectionate right now.
Well, it's also similar to what we were talking about a while ago when he talks to Saeed about the whispers, and he calls him Saeed. Yeah. I think the nickname, it's like you said, their guards are down, and I think the nicknames Sawyer uses are a form of his guard, and so when he's being real, he's not using nicknames. He's
so
just
true, bestie.
there as he is.
Not just Freckles to me, not Mohammed or Ali. I'll call you by your name. Not just Doc for once, I won't call you Stay Puffed. I'll call you by your name.
They have this thing that we referred to earlier where he was like, sorry, you pushed me into a corner. And she's like, you pushed me into a corner. And like, they're both right. They were both cornered in a sense, and they were both willing to do whatever it took to kind of win.
Talking about honesty and dishonesty, he says, you told me if you wanted my spot, you were going to take it. I guess I believed you. Which just plays in again to this idea that, I mean, it's not necessarily that she was lying, but he was like, I took you at face value and I acted accordingly.
I think he was right to believe her, because even though what she did was try to poison Jin, ultimately it was Michael who got poisoned, you know, there was nothing, if she's willing to go to those lengths, then she would also have been, I think the main reason why, like, she didn't just attack and target Sawyer is because then it would have been too transparent. It would have been too obvious of like, oh, you told me you would take my spot, now you've poisoned me. And ultimately she asks him why he's so keen to get off the island, something that we might also be wondering. And he just answers, ain't nothing on this island worth staying for, which is like, ow, like, I thought we had a connection, like, we've had so much sexual tension, you don't want to stay around for me? That's how Kate's feeling.
I didn't like that ending. I didn't like that line. I get that, like, it's meant to be sad, it's meant to hurt her and whatever, but I don't think anyone on the island would say that they have something worth staying
John
for.
Locke.
Apart from Locke, obviously. But, like, famously, everyone wants to get off the island. So him saying there ain't nothing worth staying for. It's like, okay, yeah, I probably wouldn't stay on a deserted island just because I love someone who I'd known for 5 weeks.
I mean, I agree. It wasn't the strongest end that we could have had. But I think it's important in terms of, like, the development of their relationship and their dynamic for him to sort of say straight out, like, yeah, maybe we have this, like, chemistry and this connection, but, like, you're not worth sticking around for.
Like, I sort of wish we'd got a bit more of that instead of framing it as there's nothing worth staying on the island for. Just sort of, even if we just framed it as whatever our existing relationship was, it's over, it's done, which I guess is still the implication they're going for. I just wish it had been framed in that sort of way. But also through this whole scene, he looks like he's got this look of disappointment on him, that he is disappointed in Kate.
I guess he's disappointed in, like, the fact that there's a sense in which they've been the two of them and they've been the only two people who understand each other. So maybe there's a feeling of disappointment that, like, she would do that to him and that they're not really in it together.
He was planning to leave anyway. Like, he wasn't sticking around with her. He was planning to leave. So why does he care that much?
In the background of this whole scene, because it's nighttime, but people are still awake, we have the campfire, but we also have the jungle torches.
Oh.
Hit the jingle.
Light 'em up. It's time to light 'em up. Grab your jungle torches. Light 'em up.
The last scene of the episode is Sun and Kate.
Oh yeah, and we get the reveal.
Besties once again.
Lesbian lovers.
Sun tells Kate that Jack knows. She didn't tell him it was Kate's idea. And then she says that she believed when she found the man she loved, she would be happy forever.
Yeah, Sun loves talking in these really, vague platitudes that make it really easy for Kate to connect it back to her backstory. We've had one of these before when Sun was like, have you never lied to a man you loved? And it was like, well, we can all relate to that. And this time she was like, I thought when I found the man I loved, we would be together forever. Doesn't that remind you of your backstory, Kate? And she's like...
Kate wistfully stares into the fire as she says, me too. And this again, maybe this is where my main dislike of the episode comes from, that this felt like it was trying to tie things together in a way that just fell short for me. Because what is Kate referring to? Is she referring to Tom in the backstory? And is she thinking about how, oh yeah, I thought me and Tom would be happy forever, but she didn't, because as a kid she was like, yeah, we should just run away. And then I was like, is she referring to Sawyer? Because this comes immediately off the back of the scene where Sawyer says, there's nothing worth sticking around for, bye. And so is she thinking of Sawyer and thinking, oh, I thought me and Sawyer would be happy forever together? But then I'm like, but I don't really buy that either.
I made the connection to Tom predominantly, but I think also you can understand it as being more so like, when I was young, I thought that love and relationships were so simple. You just find one person you love and then it's done and it's sorted. And now I'm an adult and I'm realizing like there can be a lot more complications along the way. And I think, both of those touch points can be relevant for Kate, of thinking like, yeah, I once believed that it was that simple as well. And I think with Tom, even though, like you say, when they were children, she kind of wanted something different to what he wanted. She wanted to run away. He wanted to have 9 kids, incompatible visions of life. But she kind of seemed to always think that like she could always go home to him. He would always be there for her. She could kind of pick up where they left off. I
don't think we have seen anything in Kate that implies that she had these thoughts of like a happy ever after. Like, as we see in the tape, she's still talking about like running away and she always wants to run. Like, that isn't something that aligns with, oh, I found a man I love. I'm going to be happy forever now. I don't know. It didn't land for me. Should we go to the hatch?
And now we circle back to what we missed.
Okay, so our B plot for this episode is the hatch. We famously finished the last episode with Saeed insisting that Locke let him in on the hatch. And now Saeed is bringing Jack into the fold.
I gotta say, man, I'm with Saeed. That thing is closed for a reason. It could be like a quarantine situation. Fucking bury it back up again and let's just never talk about it and move on.
I thought it was really interesting that Jack and Locke, like without even talking about it, they're immediately on the same team of, okay, so how do we open it? And Saeed's like, wait, what? I brought you here to talk him out of opening it, but Jack and Locke, who so famously are at odds with each other and always want to tackle things differently, are like, no, of course, we got to open this.
Yeah. And then they get into their discretion corner where Jack is like, so you've known about this for several weeks and you never told me about it. And Locke's like, well, all due respect, but since when do I report to you?
Valid point.
This, very fair point. This brings me back to the problems with not having a democratic process on the island. And when one guy, people have just like decided by unexpressed consensus that Jack is going to be the leader. And Locke's like, well, I never signed up to that. And no one ever I never agreed to treat you as the leader. You can't expect that you have that authority.
Yeah, he counters that by saying, how long did you have the guns before you decided to tell us about it? You used your best discretion. I used mine.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny in this thing because they are both right. Like, Each of them in different situations has used their discretion and kept information from each other and from the rest of the occupants of the island. But then the way that they have this back and forth and like, oh, so it's okay for you, but it's not okay for me. It's like, well, you both did it. So you're both right, but you're both also being hypocritical. Can we just like draw a line under this and just move on?
So then, shall we go on to the next time when Locke is talking to Hurley? And Jack comes to approach them, and this is where they have their whole thing where Hurley is asking whether maybe Kate poisoned Michael because of the whole fugitive thing. And this is when Locke learns that Kate is a fugitive and discovers that Jack has once again been hiding this.
Hurley is a delight in this scene where he's like, oh, come on! Like, how am I supposed to know what everybody knows and doesn't know? Like,
Steve didn't even know about the polar bear. Hit the Scott and Steve jingle.
Oh.
Which one is Scott? And which one is Steve? You say you know the difference, I don't believe you. Which one is Steve? And which one is Scott? You say you know the difference, no you do not.
And yeah, like Hurley, bless him, he's like kind of unwillingly a member of the A team of characters. And he's like, I cannot be trusted with this amount of responsibility.
Yeah, which brings Locke and Jack back to their talk about discretion and what they're going to share with the group. There are also 3 of them here, Helen.
Indeed there are.
Which means we must fuck, marry and kill Locke, Hurley and Jack.
3 characters in a scene. You know what that means. It's time for fuck, marry or kill. Fuck, marry or kill.
Marry Hurley, easy peasy.
Yeah.
Never been so sure of anything in my life.
Yeah.
Fuck Jack, kill Locke.
Yeah, I guess so.
You look like you're struggling slightly with this.
Well, I mean, neither Locke or Jack are particularly fuck-worthy in my opinion. But I think Jack probably has the edge.
You like to marry Locke. Are you team always marry Hurley?
Yeah, I think I would have a much more fun time being married to Hurley. So yeah, we're going to fuck Jack. We're going to kill Locke.
Easy peasy.
Okay, and that's sort of all the hatchy stuff. Do we want to talk about these couple of scenes about Sun and Jin?
Let's do some Sun and Jin stuff.
Great. So we get a couple of scenes with Sun and Jin. At the start of the episode, Sun comes to see Jin while he's tying some knot on the raft.
And she's like, are you really leaving? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, okay, bye.
Well, first of all, she asks if he's going, and he just ignores her. And she's like, please talk to me. Because I guess they're still not really talking to each other. And he just says, yeah, I'm going. And she looks very sad. So then, cut to the end of the episode, where Jack comes to see Sun. Everyone's finishing off the raft, and he says, you don't want him to go. Is that why you tried to make him sick?
Reveal! And also, honestly, like, it's a rare win for Jack being the one to have used deduction to figure out.
But also, she asks if he's going to tell the others. And he says he doesn't see any reason they need to know. And I'm like, is that true? Like, is nobody going to wonder who poisoned Michael? Everyone's just going to be like, well, someone poisoned him. Never mind, we don't know who it was.
That episode's over now, so we won't talk about it again.
Like, that seems like something we'd maybe want to know. Also, Jack is weirdly understanding, considering, like, we saw the scene where Kate come to see him. And he, like, accuses Kate of doing it and says, I don't know what you're capable of. And he sort of really is very dismissive of her and very disparaging.
But he's got all this Kate baggage about, like, Kate being a liar and Kate doing this, that, and the other. Like, Sun, he has nothing but good vibes for. So he's like, well, if it's lovely, innocent Sun doing the poisoning, then I have no issue with it. Also, she was doing it for the sake of love.
Oh, okay, that's fine then. Fine to do some crimes of passion are fine. He does advise her that she should say goodbye to him.
I kind of like the Sun and Jack combo, like the way that she has stepped up and been his, like, she's been on his kind of unofficial council. She's been his unofficial surgical nurse. She's been a good sort of like support to him. So maybe that's also why he has more understanding. With Kate, everything ties into his overarching issues with Kate, whereas this is the first time he's had an issue with Sun.
Okay, our final little plot strand. Shall we talk about Walt?
Yeah. Walt and Michael.
So we start off when Walt is asking Michael why he was arguing with Sawyer and why he wants to get on the raft so bad. And Walt says, like, we're gonna come back for everybody, aren't we? And Michael says, yeah, we will, but,
Michael's like,
it
well,
might be,
yeah,
hard.
maybe.
We have good intentions, but it might
Not gonna promise anything.
might be hard to find it again. So, and then luckily he is interrupted by poison. Later we see Walt going to see Locke in the jungle, and he just wants to be sure. He's like, I know I burnt the raft. I know that I burnt the raft, but I just want you to know I didn't poison my dad. I've had some emotional growth since then. I'm ready to leave the island.
Locke is very much the audience stand-in in this scene. It's like Walt turns directly to the camera and says, I know that you know that I burnt the first raft, but I just want you to know I actually didn't do the poisoning this time.
It's funny because this was Connor's immediate thought. He immediately said, oh, it was Walt. He burnt the raft last time. He poisoned Michael this time. And yeah, Locke's nice and understanding and says they're friends. And then as soon as he touches Walt, the tone shifts. And Walt says,
don't open it.
And Locke's playing a little bit dumb, maybe. Or maybe he genuinely is not quite connecting the non sequitur. And he's like, what are you talking about? And Walt says, don't open that thing. Just don't open it. And runs into the jungle.
Locke, my guy. The way that, he knows that Walt has a specialness about him. If there's anyone who believes in Walt's specialness, it's John Locke. And just like in the earlier episode when he saw a vision of Boone covered in blood and was like, suddenly I'm blind. I don't see that.
I pretend I do not see it.
And in this case, it's very much the same thing where he's like, wow, the kid who has supernatural powers just told me don't open it, but
we simply
I guess I just didn't hear that because I can't hear. It was just it really annoyed me.
Yeah, well, I loved it because I think spooky Lost is my favorite type of Lost, and this is right up there.
I did find it a little bit irritating the way that they've introduced a new element of Walt's specialness. Previously, the Walt specialness that we've seen has been that he's able to channel his mind in a very particular way, or make things happen around him possibly. And this thing about when you touch me, I get a psychic impression. I get access to some kind of psychic link about. You know what I mean? The fact that it was when Locke touched Walt, that Walt was like, don't open it. I was like, we haven't seen this before. It's not really consistent with the Walt specialness thus far.
I can see that. I think the fact that they did keep his specialness quite vague beforehand.
But how many times have people touched him in different scenarios and he hasn't been like, oh, I'm getting a vision.
That's true. I also don't know if he got a vision as such, because he doesn't I don't think he knows what is actually happening.
No, he
or
doesn't
even
know what he's talking
to.
about. He's channeling some kind of psychic information.
But yeah, I think given how vague it was, I'm fine with it just being Walt is special in some way. There is some ambiguous, spooky shit around Walt, and if he says don't open it, then
you should probably actually listen.
The final scene is Walt and Michael talking to each other. Walt asks if he's feeling better, and we get some big growth from Walt where he admits to Michael that he burnt the raft because he didn't want to leave the island, and he says he's really sorry.
I loved this moment between the both of them where Walt's like, I'm gonna own up and say that I burnt the raft, and then Michael's like, my guy, we can stay if that's what you want, we don't have to leave. And I'm like, oh, his heart grew 2 sizes that day.
Both of them are meeting each other. Walt is
and there's none of this recrimination, blame, anger, everything that we've gotten so used to seeing from Michael. He really has grown in his parent.
And I think there's maybe
parenthood.
A second where he considers how he's going to respond to it, and he chooses to say, it's okay, it's fine. And if you burnt it because you were so desperate not to leave, we don't have to leave. It's fine, it's okay. I don't care that I've spent weeks building this raft. We can stay here. But Walt says, no, we do have to leave.
Yeah.
Spooky.
It was so spooky. It was really effective. Great little moment.
Again, this does a really good job of setting up for the finale.
Minor circle back territory. We were proven right. Claire is the island's hairdresser.
Yeah.
We see her cutting Charlie's hair in this scene. And when we discussed who would be the hairdresser on the island before, we were like, well, it would be Claire, but she's been taken. So she's back in her rightful place.
Yeah, it's good to know that we've really understood these characters.
And forgotten parts of the show.
Well, that too. Okay. Is that everything?
I guess it's time for some Connor's Corner and hot ranking.
Okay.
If you want aviation or medical information, welcome to Connor's Corner.
Connor's Corner, we simply have the wildest take I think we've ever had while watching this series, which is...
Oh my god, hit me.
We should put Dr. Arzt in charge of everything. He's the only sensible person on that island. Like, oh my god.
That's crazy, first of all. But, like, do you think Arzt is quite Connor-coded?
Now you've said that, I think you're probably right.
Not to put your whole relationship in jeopardy, but...
Yeah, he's like, hey everyone, I've done some science and I can tell you why this is really bad and people are going to die. And Connor was like, yeah, if you blow into the Southern Ocean,
like,
that would be bad.
I see myself in you. Okay, we can do a quick Bechdel check-in.
Ooh.
Kate and Son have this conversation about how it was, Kate's idea to poison Jin, and, Jack knows about it. And is there any part of that discussion where they're not talking about a man?
I don't think so. I mean, the crux of their conversation is famously, I thought when I met a man I loved, I'd be happy forever. That seems quite anti-Bechdel.
Okay. So I think it's a no then, in that case. Hot ranking.
Hot can be physical, hot can be emotional. Hot is whatever we decide, and everyone's attractive, but who's top of the ranking? Who's the hottest one on this island?
I am gonna say Kate. Now, I love Kate, and, we believe in this podcast, we believe in women's rights and women's wrongs. And at a time when everyone is turning against Kate, I want to give her my support and say, you're hot. So, there we go.
I am going...
You're going to fucking pick Charlie again, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm afraid that is where I was going. Charlie wrote some good songs and he's getting a haircut, so that's good. Nice, fresh trim for him.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Charlie's at number 4 right now, so I think that makes him number 1, doesn't it?
Oh, fuck's sake. Jesus Christ. Okay. I think actually we should move Kate up first before we move Charlie up, if you know what I mean. So
she's in position 7, so does that mean she goes to position 2?
Yeah, exactly. And then Charlie goes from 5 to 1. Honestly, abominable.
Well, I'm sorry that he's hot, Helen.
What have I done? Okay. Yep. So that is the hot ranking. It goes like this: Charlie, Sawyer, Kate, Son, Saeed, Jin, Hurley, Shannon, Michael, Claire, Rose, Rousseau, Locke.
Perfect.
Those are the hot people.
Don't forget, you can see the hot ranking and myriad other things on Instagram at Dharma Fish Biscuits Pod. And you can also find us on TikTok at Dharma Fish Biscuits. And if you have Lost-related questions, comments, feedback, if you think Charlie is hot or not, you can email us directly at dharmafishbiscuitspod@gmail.com.
You could also leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. You can comment on Spotify. Or, of course, you could always just tell a friend, spread the word. We love you, listeners.
Our next episode will be out in 2 weeks. We will be discussing... Oh my god, we finally did it. The finale, part 1, episode 23, Exodus.
Part 1.
Until then, I'll see you in another life, Helen.
See you in another life, brother.